Kind of stuff. Can do that. Yeah, that's right next to the road.
All right, thank you for waking me up.
Yeah.
There you get the growth policy. You get that one. We need one each. Yeah, Gary, yeah, but your teacher says you want one of each. Okay, so maybe just take one.
Okay.
People that come in a little bit late get signed up, and there's two different copies up there to pick up. They're not stapled together, so be a little careful. Oh, good.
He's doing good.
Good. How are you out here then? Do you know? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. I skimmed it one day.
How you doing?
They call it. They did an adjustment.
How's she go?
Good. How are you doing?
Behind the scenes. Was that
We're in the line to sign up.
And so.
Oh, that's okay.
So, yeah,
She made me one.
I had to go back and look at the signals, acres, videos, start to. I have increased the same.
Some like the young stuff, and then we got cabs, but the old cabs got down.
But the upper cow counts.
Well, it's not too.
I guess I got it off.
Yeah.
And then they got to take out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how's the roads coming over?
Good.
Good, yeah.
My car broke down
Yes.
2 miles from the house.
Oh, shit.
I left it back home. The track locks up with the ice, track lock locked on, reduced power. So then I had to unhook the trailer from my Suburban. Picked up out of that, getting that.
Not bad.
And then I had a guy that came over to the doctor, him and his wife dropped the car off and they wanted to ride back to Whitehall. So I had to drop him off at Whitehall. That was late, but I made it, you know, so I meant to be here a little early.
So we'll be, yeah. Get everybody through here. This one first, gonna do just a lot of organizational.
Yeah.
Pick meetings and all that kind of stuff there, yeah, so.
Yeah. Introductions, so everybody kind of knows who everybody is. Awesome. Tom or John gonna be in here? Just you?
I was hoping so, I don't know if it was supposed to be.
Tom had a water meeting here, actually. Tom had a water meeting, I think Tom had some big Fairmont.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but he was number 2.
They were both available.
This will be Joe.
Are you? Good.
Good. I'm sure you raise those cows out there again. Huh?
Yep.
It was an inside deal.
How was the water?
Water was good.
Yeah.
Season wasn't.
And
Frost. Father's Day weekend, these are the ones, they just didn't. One student here late, the other three.
That property, that slowed you down, huh?
They're $40 for just the. And then
Oh, and then you gotta add all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had grass on it.
so,
Yeah.
so Ron's probably.
Good thing you were smart enough to grab
I
it.
didn't do very well either.
You can't answer
So I did for emergency fund.
Yeah.
At least that don't matter, I think everybody else, I don't know.
I made a lot of
My
last.
first has a lot of.
Hey, yes.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Every time I go to the bank.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta.
You just have to be careful about using this.
Okay.
How you doing?
I know.
Does that include the dressing? Does that include dressing?
I got one.
Oh, you already
Thank
have? Always that brother-in-law.
Okay.
No line.
Bob, sitting there.
Thank you.
I know, but I just didn't want to. I was like,
I don't want to say anything.
I only brought one. Yes, I do need a secretary.
I guess there's enough there, we can spread out where we gotta get to, so.
yeah.
Yeah, all our life history.
But we got a lot of it. I didn't know they was writing all that down. Yeah, we stole a lot of it. We already got that. I should have been paying attention ahead of time.
Hey, anyway, thanks for coming, everybody. We'll get this thing going before long. I guess my other two commissioners, they're different meetings. Yeah, I thought maybe everybody'd be here, but it's not. If anybody don't know me, I'm Mike McGinn, Commissioner. So this first meeting, when we got started with this, is we're trying to get it organized. We just picked a date and a time and said, let's get here. So the goal of this meeting is today is sort of get organized, introductions, and find out how, the best time to meet, whether it's going to be in the evenings, daytime, ever, how you guys want to do that. But I didn't think we'd do it, but we just picked a date and time and said, I hope you could come. So I appreciate everybody doing it. We've only got maybe 2 or 3 that didn't make this thing here, and they'll go on that. And the same way that these are going to be public meetings, you're on camera. I don't know who, nobody watches this much. But I think everybody, Nancy, Jean, you're not necessarily on the committee.
No.
But I just want everybody to know, I mean, that's all right. We welcome input and stuff like that. I don't know if there'll be a lot of voting or whatever, but commissioners talked about that. Is as we get going, there was 18 people that applied, and we figured it was a pretty diverse bunch to begin with, so we put everybody on that 18. I don't think it was too much to do, especially if we get split up. So it was a pretty good bunch, and the question was asked, well, what if somebody else wants to join? Hopefully our time frame is it's you're welcome to join in, but you're not going to be the committee, I guess. Just yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up. I know you guys here appreciate you coming. Hope we have enough paperwork for everybody. And doing that too, a year or so ago, we contracted with Carrie White to help us through a lot of these policy stuff with the Forest Service in particular, and we started out with the travel management, they still can't get up and doing. But with that, I just knowing him and his experience with a lot of this federal regulations, growth policies and that, since he was in contract with county, we asked him if he'd chair this thing. So the ones that don't know, I'm Kerry White. He's just over the hill from Beaverhead County. He's done a lot of work for us. I've got a lot of faith in him. He'll probably get you his resume as we're getting going. So with that, I think the goal of the meeting is to like I told the chairman, this thing has been done, updated in 2010. We're wanting to get it updated, and hopefully what the goal is let's don't spend forever doing it. Let's play we are part of the government and get stuff done efficiently. So we were saying hopefully, by the end of the fiscal year, June, we can have a couple meetings, get this thing done, get it updated, hope and have this done by June, if we can. So once again, I appreciate you guys stepping up. We're going to get some policies done. I know a lot of you made some miles in here. We're going to do it. We're gonna get the miles for them, so if you're traveling from South Beaverhead County, North Beaverhead County, something like that, then we're gonna give you the option to pay for some of your mileage and stuff. You know, it's the only way, that's what you're gonna get paid, because we ain't pay you nothing else. So hopefully get some good stuff done. So any questions with that? I guess I'm gonna turn it over to Carrie. You can go through introductions, make sure people understand who they are, and then, it's yours, baby.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Appreciate all the commissioners, you guys stepping up to do this. I think this is gonna be important.
I would echo that too. This is a time commitment. It's a comprehensive document. The paperwork that you picked up at the front, the Beaverhead County growth policy update, was completed in November of 2022. Legislature in the state of Montana allows the county to use the growth policy to coordinate and cooperate with the federal agencies and actually be used as the resource plan. Some counties have decided to go with a additional resource plan because the resource plan is more specific. And there's a booklet out. Mike has probably copies of it, but NACO, the National Association of Counties. And what I'll try to do is on these acronyms, actually tell you what they mean. Because sometimes we talk in MEPA, NEPA, DEQ, DNRC, all of that stuff. So, but anyway, NACO developed this, National Association of Counties developed this in coordination with the Forest Service to try to explain to the Forest Service what coordination means and what counties, local governments need to do in their growth policy in Montana or a resource plan around the entire nation to coordinate so that the federal land management agencies can make their plans consistent with the local government's plans in order to help in the economics and what drives the economy of the county, which is important to the county and to the residents for tax base, economic development, jobs, businesses, private property rights, water rights, timber, mineral, recreation, all of those things. So everybody picked up the original resource plan that was developed in 2010. So that kind of gives you a primer on why we're here, what we're doing. First, I'd like to introduce myself. Perry White, my great-grandfather came to the Gallatin in 1864 and settled in Gallatin City. We had a ranch on the Madison. My great-grandfather sold that for 3 cents an acre and bought the place that we currently, a cow-calf operation in 1868, bought that for 10 cents an acre. Currently, it's in irrigated hay and cow-calf. I'm a senior water right holder in the Gallatin, in the West Gallatin Canal Company. Also an in holder in a Forest Service lease in Custer Gallatin National Forest. I served 10 years on the Gallatin County Planning Board and wrote the growth policy as a member of that board for Gallatin County. And I served on that planning board from 2000 to 2010. In 2013, I was elected to the Montana House of Representatives and served in the Montana House for 8 years and chaired the Natural Resource Committee for 6 of those 8 years on 3 sessions, and served on the Environmental Quality Council, which is an interim committee, for 8 years as a representative of House District 64, which was 4 corners to West Yellowstone, the long tail of Gallatin, which is a lot of federally managed land. So I ran committees of this size. My resource committee was 18 members. My goal here is to serve at the for the commission to run this committee efficiently and in a timely manner to get this update done. I've been instructed or kind of advised by the commission, we're not writing a new resource plan. We can put some additions in here, some things that we may want to bolster, so to speak, in coordinating this plan, your local plan, with the federal management agencies. And I'm looking here, you know, in your original resource plan and your growth policy, you got about 33% of Beaverhead County is privately owned. The rest of it's state and federal. So what the state and federal does makes a big difference within your county. So with that, I'd like everyone to take a minute or two or three and just kind of who you are, where you're from, what your interest is in Beaverhead County, and kind of why that you put in an application to help update the Beaverhead County resource plan. So we'll start going around the room.
I'm
Staff.
Dave Lucille. I'm just gonna take notes as needed and get your notices out and your schedule out to the public.
Thank you.
Okay, Sean Clappy. I've been in Dillon only 9 years. It's a privilege to be part of this. I kind of saw it as an opportunity to really learn what this process is about and recognizing how important a document like this could be for coordinating with our federal and state partners. I do that. My day job is also coordinating with our federal and state partners quite a bit, working with Beyond the Forest Service and the state and FWP to do more projects or help them do more conservation work or more restoration work, more land management action on their ground, as well as carry that on the private lands as well. I'm currently employed by the Nature Conservancy, which is a private nonprofit, to do that work. And so we do that through what we call the Southwest Montana Sagebrush Partnership, where we're trying to do exactly that, conserve the integrity of our rangelands, continue to keep them viable, and also I think personally, my interest in this too is I see, you know, with this growth policy, I'm glad to see this here. I wasn't sure if that was going to be part of this conversation, but how, you know, growth is inevitable. And when we talk about conserving and resource use plan, there's a lot of talk about conserving our culture. And with the growth, there's this growing disconnection with natural resource management. And so through my work and my personal interest is how can we maintain a greater connection to natural resource management, because I think that's fundamental to the well-being of our community and individuals, as well as the resource. So, sorry, it's probably longer than that.
No, that's good. What's your first name?
Sean.
Sean?
That's probably important. Did I say that? Yeah, Sean.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean.
So I'm Harrison, rancher out in the Grasshopper. We've been there in the family since 1886, so we're kind of been around a little while. Interested in agriculture and all the recreation and all that. Try to keep things going.
Park Scott, my grandkids are the 6th generation born in Dillon. Been here a long time. I helped run the first resource use plan, helped run the second one, and then the third time. I have a real interest in motorized recreation. I want to keep it going. I want to, you know, we're missing a boat. I'll be honest with you. They're bypassing us. And we've got to change that.
Gene, I guess, yeah, you can.
I'm married to Earl Coughlin, and we've been in this, Beaverhead County for, his family's been here since 1933, so we're ranchers and mining, and we've been into a lot of different construction and stuff like that.
Alan Conover, 4th generation rancher. Spent 60-some years either ranching, logging, or fighting fire. So that's where my interests lay. I've watched a lot of changes from when I started logging, both on the forest health side and on industry. And I know that we need to try to correct some of that. And Sean has been working with some groups trying to get some more industry, I guess you could say. We need to find some new loggers because we're all either old or retired, chose a different occupation. So just pretty much interested in everything that goes on down there.
Nancy Conover, ditto to part of that. We're brother and sister. So mostly interested in the agricultural end of things and how important it is to the economy of Beaverhead County. And I don't want to see that overrode by other interests. That is our base. And I think it needs to stay that way. And to protect the 33% of private property rights in our county.
Rob Van Buren, we have a ranch north of Dillon on the Beaverhead, and many years ago I was involved in the resource use plan.
Tassie Duffner, I'm married to Kurt Duffner, whose family has been ranching in this area for several generations. Before that, I lived in Anaconda, Montana, so resource management has always been kind of right at the forefront of everything I've ever done. And so,
Bob Gardens. My ancestors go back to 1635. They helped pay for Louisiana Purchase where we are right now. So yeah, I have a great interest in this Beaverhead County and the plan. And I was in on the original plan.
I'm Kathy Heller. Looks like we have a lot of Kathys in the room. And I'm a newbie. I came here in 2021. My parents have lived here since 1977. So I came to sort of keep an eye on them. I worked my career in the oil and gas industry. And now I'm a student at Montana Western studying environmental sustainability. So I have quite an interest in both and getting balance right. And I've been applying environmental sustainability is environment, balance between environment, society, and economics. So I like to look for the balance in what we're doing. And I did that in the oil and gas industry, and I'd love to see us doing it here in the county as well.
I'm Mark, I'm from Lima. I guess I'm a third generation Beaverhead Countyite, and I have a fence company and a post and pole yard, so resources are, a big deal. And yeah, I do take interest in protecting our private lands as well as, and I like the idea of having a voice that we can tell Washington or whoever, this is how we want to manage our lands or how we suggest. So I really like that part of it, is having a voice of our opinion or our plan to help take care of our resources. Yeah.
What's your last name, Mark?
Stosich.
How do you pronounce that?
Stosich. Yeah.
Stosich?
Yep.
Okay, good. I think I did.
Tony Johnson, I grew up north of Dillon, but I live in Dell now. Spent some time in Livingston, some time in Wyoming. Just a young rancher trying to get going. So I hope I can kind of help be the voice of maybe the millennials that you guys cuss all the time. And one of my big interests is just protecting grazing, especially, I think every ranch in this county kind of relies on public land grazing and probably wouldn't be sustainable without it. And I just hope we can make land affordable to the next generation.
Excuse me, I'm Bob Gunderson. Live just north of Dillon. I've been involved in mining minerals for about 40 years in one form or another. I worked in private industry, and then I worked for the BLM for 23 years and did a lot of different things mineral related in that time. And been retired now for about 7 years, but still keep pretty busy, and I'd like to see some mineral development in this county, generate some jobs and tax money and everything else.
I'm J.S. Turner, not related to Ted in any way. I was here first, so I always use that. Everybody's laughing. If not, numbers probably heard that 100 times. But, I've worked on many growth policies through the city, the county. Did a lot of work on stewardship contracting way back when. With both the Forest Service and the BLM. It sounds like, at least with the Forest Service, that's getting going again. That's a great tool to do some activities out on the land, and then keep the money here instead of sending it to Washington. So I'm also a Forest Service employee right now. Don't throw much at me if you would, please. But I think this update here will help the agencies as well as the county to get some projects done. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but to get some of these things turned around that we've been trying to do, but we just run into roadblocks as far as the landscape goes. So I was somewhat involved with the first resource use plan. It was July of 2001. There's a lot of people in the room here that were involved with this. I was also involved more so with the resource use plan, the 2010. The county hired Dave Allison from Utah, and he was the one that helped us with that. And that one, the one that we have now, the 2010 one, has a few more teeth than the original one, I believe. But yeah, I was kind of the instigator on this whole deal on trying to get this use plan updated. I would like to see the resource use plan tied in and be updated from now on at the same time as the county growth policy. So it doesn't get lost in the weeds somewhere. So we can talk about that later on and go with the, I think I've said enough, haven't I, Nancy?
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it's your turn.
I'm Nancy Johnson. I've lived here over 50 years. My son's ranched here about over 30 years. My family comes from Wolf Creek, and they homesteaded up there in 1889, and the family's still in family name. They have some grazing leases down in Centennial, and I'd like to see the multiple use keep going or continue or whatever. So yeah, so I'm here.
Travis Hansen, I'm from Sheep Creek Dale, fourth generation rancher. We have a lot of public land. I like to keep this multi-use agriculture, recreation,
Heath Mornell, I'm also from Dell, fourth generation rancher as well. And I guess one thing that really got my interest was a number of years ago, I was on the Governor Bullock had a grizzly bear advisory council that he formed, and I was a member of that. And just the interest from out of state in Montana really grabbed my attention, and that's the main reason I thought I'd show up. But obviously there's a lot of us here that are older than me, so a lot of family history, I guess. People are interested in keeping Beaverhead County what's made it special, I think. So happy to see that.
That's good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Looks like some diversity. I was thinking at a funeral. My dad always said, bless his heart, his mom and dad had been gone for a long time. He said, now I'm only going to the doctor's office at funerals. But anyway, so funeral and run into Scotty Schoensberg, and he was giving me some history on his family owned the Wise River Club for years and years and years. And we got a new owner. He's trying to do something with it down there, which is really cool. This place has a lot of history. Agriculture, I know, is your big base, and I know the minerals that are in this area are just huge. The timber, I might draw your attention to you picked up the Beaverhead outdoor, or Beaverhead County plan. Might go to page 38 in there. And that shows Beaverhead County wildland urban interface. And at the bottom, wildland vegetation greater than 90% flammability. And it looks like about your whole county is like that. And the reason I say that is because we have a new administration coming in. And several years ago, the town of Paradise burned down in Northern California. And this was when President Trump was in there, and he went and told him there's something you need to do. And now we have Palisades and the fires around LA. And a lot of it's lack of vegetation management. I don't want to see this burn. And I know that Sean, when you were talking and stuff about, you know, sustainability and conservation and stuff, these fires are just, I suppose the wind blows down here once in a while, but I know it does. But this is my playground down here growing up. Spent a lot of time in the West Fork. Of course, that's over in Madison County and stuff, but I got a lot of friends down here around Polaris and Jackson and Wise River and Wisdom and Dillon. And this place is a really special place. But what we need to do on this resource plan is we're trying to help the county sustain the services that they provide to the citizens. They're required health, safety, and welfare. So when you're looking over this current resource plan that we're going to be updating, and in the front of the resource plan, I think what you'll find is there's a lot of things about Beaverhead County. 1.47 persons per square mile. I know you got more cows than you got people. Had that for a long time. I guess it says 31% is privately owned. In my history, you know, when you look at Cook City, when you look at West Yellowstone, some of these resort communities, Northeast Montana, you're trying to provide a full-time service, health, safety, and welfare for your citizens on part-time industries. And you also we want to try, you know, in my focus, this is up to you. I'm trying to guide the committee. I'm trying to give you some ideas as you look over as we have our first meeting where we really get down into the weeds, and I'll kind of explain my thought process on how we get through this in a timely manner. You know, sometimes it's a big elephant, but you know, if you just take little pieces, it'll go pretty quick. But to try to support a community like West Yellowstone on part-time income, where you have your summer tourist season, maybe you got your winter tourist season, but you got nothing in between. Northeast Montana, you have a hunting season, bird, big game, antelope, stuff like that. But, you know, the staple is there is agriculture in the state of Montana. But we're seeing a lot of pressures on agriculture, and it might be growth. But commodity prices, this year we couldn't give our hay away at 75 a ton. Thank God for the cattle prices. Otherwise, might not make it, you know. So diversity is your friend. And that's why the resource plan, all of these resources that's out there, minerals, timber, water resources, agriculture, and the big one that Park mentioned, that really a lot of communities in Montana are missing the boat on, is recreation. The Bureau of Economic Analysis came out with a study just last year, 2024. Number one recreational activity in the United States right now is RV. And that's these big RVs pulling a toy hauler. And I asked the Forest Service, show me the last campground you built. They're not building campgrounds, they're not building places for these people when they come through to stop and take their money for a few days and enjoy the outdoors. So when the county talked to me and said, you know, the Forest Service is maybe gonna do a truck plan, they started on it, and then Lisa retired. So anyway, they got a new forest supervisor, and forest supervisors are kind of, you know, you deal with one today and might be there tomorrow, maybe not, but they're not really connected to the culture and the history. And so you need to try to educate them. So what I look at the resource plan is, and it's right in the front of the resource plan, custom and culture, it's on page 7. I'm looking at the 2010 one that everybody picked up. It's got, you know, the total history of Beaverhead County, and there's some that have been here for multiple generations, and there's some that have been here for just a few years. But the custom and culture has a value in commodity and economic value, but it has a really big social value for your social well-being of the citizens that are here. They love to go out and look at your ranch, and they love to go fishing, you know, down on the Beaverhead or the Big Hole, but they like to get outdoors. So this,
Troy Smith, yeah.
Roy Smith.
Yeah.
Says you've been out of country.
Yeah, out of county, but
I don't.
getting to this country's tough.
Okay, thanks for showing up, yeah.
Troy, we kind of went around the room and kind of everybody introduced themselves. You probably know quite a few in the room, but if you could introduce yourself and kind of just let us know something about it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm Troy Smith, and Jeff Johnson told me I need to be here, so I showed up. I run cattle up that country, I have big sheep on the study area. And around there, I have some ground up. My home ranch is down toward Whitehall, Jefferson County. And so that makes it a little tough for me, but he thought I should be involved, not only because I'm running cattle on the areas of concern, but I've got a degree in soil science, and I've got over 30 years plus experience working as a contractor with land restoration and conservation projects, and I've been involved in all this. But yeah, I'd like to help out. I'm real interested because, you know, I've got cattle on the Kendoy study areas. My concern is my time frame. Calving's coming up, and this spring, my contracting, I'm real busy with a lot of restoration projects going on. I feel like I could, you know, help out on this project, but time is a concern. So one thing I wanted to find out in this meeting is, if you've got enough help and enough people covering the different aspects of what you want to review. Since I got a long ways to drive and a lot of work to do, I would like to know whether you guys feel like you need me or not, if I could be of help or if you have enough people. I can tell you where I stand if you want to know if it helps, but to know where I stand. But with a lot of these wilderness study areas, I like the fact that the government has a good set of criteria to establish a wilderness area. And on all these projects, they've already applied that criteria to it. And what most of us as ranchers are asking for is to make a decision. If it didn't meet that criteria, let's get it out of that wilderness area. But the offset of that is, if we want this to work and we think Congress is gonna accept anything, my view is we've got to keep it simple and just stick to that criteria. If it meets criteria, let them have those areas, like Upper Nicolia Creek or some of these. They're gonna have to have some of those areas as wilderness. And then we get to take out everything, which is most of it, that didn't meet the criteria, that's been stuck in this pseudo wilderness thing for so long. And so I feel like, we've gotta approach them with the criteria that they've established and set, and just ask them to solidify their decisions. And I think if we, my thinking is if we try to interject too many changes, no wilderness, more, whatever, this or that, then the criteria establishes it, you're probably not gonna get anywhere with it. So that's where I stand. That would be the point of view that I would be representing, is, to get them to make a decision based on the criteria they have in place. And what I'd like to know today is, if you've got enough people on the board that are supporting that view, that area, that I wouldn't have to be involved. I'm just worried about, since you've got a deadline this summer, it sounds like you have quite a few meetings, you gotta make some decisions, and I don't have a lot of help calving in February, and then in the spring I jump right into those contracts, and I may not be able to drive to Dillon coming from Jefferson County to make too many meetings, but I'd help as much as I could, or you guys wanted me to, and I do what I can. But if a lot of you folks are kind of with that mindset that we just want to move forward with the criteria, then you may not need me. But if you want somebody to,
Well, that's part of,
Answer questions.
this time commitment. That's, I said, I told everybody, thank you for that time commitment. I know whatever you guys are up against to do this in a short time, but I think we can get it done. But appreciate that comment. You can't, I'm not a big fan of Zoom, but if anybody can't make meetings, if you get a hold of us, we can always get you up on here, because I suppose most of them are gonna be right in here. It ain't a very effective way to communicate. Maybe for young guys it is, but yeah, I hate them, but the opportunity's there. We're missing two others today. Bill Allen is on this, Colin Peterson, and then Troy, you're here. And we did, when we went to the applications, your name came up in particular, because, we got to say, no, you're gonna be Beaverhead County if you're gonna do this Beaverhead County growth policy. So we talked about you a little bit on that part, but no, your connection with ag and what you do in South Beaverhead County, that is very important. So that's why you're here. If you can, I mean, I appreciate people that can't make it. You're one of 18, so we got a lot of help. This definitely is not going to be a single issue kind of a deal. This piece is going to pop up. There's some new stuff that if I might entertain just real quick. I've got about 3 things to say. What commissioner's role is going to be is, we're going to sort of push it to you. You guys are going to bring this thing, and hopefully we'll adopt it. Anything, but First of all, he talked about the amount of history in this room of everybody here and the agencies we work with, the Forest Service and the BLM, went through them both. New forest supervisor up here. In my 10 years as a county commissioner, this is the 15th forest supervisor we've had. You cannot build relationships with people with that. They don't even know how to spell Beaverhead County when they get here, most of them, let alone live here or whatever. So those are some of the issues with the two feds in particular we work with, Forest Service and BLM, of why this document is so important to us. And I really was hoping that we could get it mentioned in the resource use plan, because this is done with the National Association of Counties, with the National Forest Service at the DC level and the BLM. We got one of the BLM and Forest Service. How counties are supposed to relate to people on the ground, and I've got to get them to these agencies here, because none of them have them yet. So we might get some for you guys too. It's just a good read. The second thing, like I said, BLM's all brand new. Our part as a commission, I guess, and Dane and stuff, if you guys want any information, we can dig more than just in that growth policy. Let us know. I'll try to dig it out for you. Because the one big thing that you mentioned is these services on part-time industries. Most of you know that I've been pretty passionate about property taxes here the last couple of years, especially on residential pieces of it. Ag is definitely the biggest thing in Beaverhead County. And it's necessary for reasons. But here, this isn't a policy statement. This is going to be a statement that I'm going to push on you guys. We mentioned outdoor recreation. I heard people talking about timber, mining, oil and gas, and how important that is to Beaverhead County. Solar farm. If anybody wants to just go west of Dillon, up on the hill, that solar farm got put in Beaverhead County. 650 acres under glass. In my opinion, because they qualify as a small solar farm, the state only taxes them at 3%. So they're finally up, fully running this year. So I went and got our tax bills for the state of Beaverhead County. I wanted the top 25 taxpayers in Beaverhead County. Our solar farm is the #1 taxpayer in Beaverhead County this year, at $1.5 million or so. So that's what little industries that we got to use what we've got. We've got good sunshine, we got good timber, we got mining going on. Those are the little companies that come in here that I think we can use right to keep the economy going and not lose our agriculture. So the question is on this tax base, that's how important getting the industries like that in here that we want. The ranches, the top ranches in the 25, on the top 25 taxpayers of Beaverhead County, and this is what gets into services. And please understand, I'm not trying to talk policy. This is just a fact. You take the top ranchers on that top 25 list, add their tax bills together, times 3, doesn't quite get to what that solar farm pays. So when we're talking about services of trying to keep roads in, getting industry and stuff here, that's how important these industries are, that outdoor recreation, getting people that don't live here paying their fair share. Gold mine, if they get that ever going, that's Jefferson County was up and running. They were the highest per capita income of people in the state of Montana. That's what's the good kind of stuff is. Timber, we've got it all the time. They're working on this stuff I think Sean will tell you that, we probably don't have the best timber in the state of Montana, let alone that, but we've got a lot of it. There could be some other uses for it. That's an industry we've got to try to help promote, to protect our ag people, is the way I look at it. So those are the kind of things when you're going through this. Solar, they hit it. Sorry, Gene, it's up in your neighborhood. But same way, they've been asking about wind farms. There's nothing in wind farms, solar farms in this resource use policy. Those are some of the things I really want people to start thinking about a little bit. Gold mines, good oil and gas. I'm not against solar at all, but I'm not against oil and gas either. Those are the kind of things I look, we want a diverse economy. So that's what, any numbers you want of county economics, we'll try to dig them out all you can. I just wanted to throw this tax stuff on you, how important. I didn't know that solar farm would do that, but one of these days I'll go through you, tell you what it did to your individual house taxes, residential house taxes, what that industry helps with. So with that said, that's sort of the commissioner's thing. We're here more to help. Hope to see you in June. Where you go, the rules on from here on out, when you meet, where you meet, we'll do what we can, but it's your ballpark. But I just want to throw you some of those things, what I'm looking for.
No, appreciate it. Is there any comments for what Mike said?
I'm really curious how you've used it in the past.
How what?
How have you used the plan in the past? I mean, I've read half of it thoroughly and the rest skimmed it. I'm wondering how, as a commissioner or your team of commissioners, have you used this document in the past? That will help me know what I would be doing to it.
Okay. Some of the biggest ones we did is Rob Van Daren back here. When we went through the BLM resource management plan in the early 2000s, 2004, whatever, he was hired by Beaverhead County, so is now, to sit on the ID team. He sat with that team as they did the plans. And that's what his goal is they need to know what Beaverhead County thinks. You take this document with them.
So when the solar, stick on your solar farm. So when the solar farm said, we want to build a solar farm up there, did they come to the commissioners and say, hey, we'd like to build a solar farm here? And you said, oh, let me check my resource plan. I'm trying to figure out how you actually use it, not how you built it in 2010.
Okay, how we would use it, the biggest time we used it is on the two big forest, or the BLM plan and the Forest Service plan. We had people on there, and when you go to an agency, they want to know what your planning documents are. These are Beaverhead County's planning documents. And the federal government says that when they do actions, they've got to meet your plan as close as possible. I don't know the word you use.
So it comes from the 2000. Go ahead.
The first plan is kind of a ground roots plan, because like Mike said, Forest Service was telling us one thing, BLM was telling us another, and we figured the population here in Bear County figured we ought to have more of a say in it, the federal government. That's really what brought that plan about. The federal government trying to tell us what to do with Beaverhead County, and that's what brought it forward. It was a crowd. There was 100, 200 people that came together to write that. I mean, that was there. It was that's what it was.
The solar farm, just for a little history, was going to be up here just by Apex on state land. When you start talking state land, it has the right for people to come in and comment. They moved it. Now it's on private ground. That's a whole different thing. If somebody's going to do something on private ground, whether you like it or not, I guess that's their deal. It's a proverbial pig farm. If somebody's going to build a pig farm on private ground, I don't think there's much.
So there's nothing that this county plan says about the farm going in there, the solar.
The solar farm, absolutely not. Other than personal or private property rights, if somebody buys a piece of property and wants to put a solar farm in there, I don't know if the county government has the right to tell them not to.
It's a great question. I'm wondering if, so it's not a zoning document.
No.
Could it potentially, I don't even know if this exists in the world, but county zoning plans, would it be something that can inform some sort of zoning thing? Not make the rules, but could it inform something like that?
We don't have the authority to zone federally managed public land, whether it's BLM or Forest Service.
Right.
And they can't do anything with our private land. So when you ask what this plan can do, 36 CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, 219.4 parentheses B parentheses 2.
It's in that document, okay?
It's at the bottom of page 28
Okay.
in this booklet.
Yeah, I've seen it online.
Okay, you can pull that up. What that says, to reduce conflicts between the local plan and the federal management plan, the federal agencies shall coordinate their plan with the local plan. The Forest Service and BLM their plan shall be consistent as possible with the local plan, as long as it follows all laws, rules, regulations, as long as they don't break the law in following the local plan. And that's what the coordination is. So this plan, the resource plan, will be given to the Forest Service, and they are to review that and use that in any of their planning actions. Now, that could be a solar farm planning action. If the resource plan says we would like to encourage solar farms on federally managed public land, BLM and Forest Service, then in their forest plan revision or BLM's land management plan, LMP uses BLM, forest management plan. And then there's subpart B, which is travel management, which they're doing. They've already finished their forest plan revision, which is supposed to be done every 10 or 15 years. We're updating this. Hopefully it'll come out. It'll be updated for 2025 when the Forest Service goes through their next forest plan revision. They use that new document. And as JS was saying, he'd like to see the growth policy, which is supposed to be updated every 10 years, so to speak, and at the same time as the resource plan. Now, the growth policy is for growth within the whole county. It does have some effect on grazing agriculture, as we want to keep this agriculture. They depend upon the Forest Service for grazing leases, so we want that land managed correctly or whatever. But not so much resources as mineral development, solar farms, wind farms, timber, water. I mean, when you talk about water, this urban wildlife interface where all the timber's dead, and if that timber burns, what happens to your water discharge and timing of discharge and water containment facilities and ditches and those kind of conveyance facilities that get burned up? Tombstone, Arizona, their whole thing burned up in a fire. And because it was in a wilderness area, the Forest Service said, no, you got to go in there with shovels. You can't go in there with a backhoe. You can't use any mechanical equipment to repair your water supply system. So it's those kind of things that we're trying to protect and preserve, custom and culture resource, to provide the tax base, to provide the services for the people. And like Mike said, the solar farm gave a pretty good chunk of change for the tax base, which helps on sheriff, roads, bridges, emergency services, search and rescue, all of those things that people depend on. So the resource document, resource plan, is very, very vital to the county in order to have the federal agencies make their plan consistent with the local plan. If you don't have a resource plan, then the federal agencies say, we're going to do what we're going. We don't really care.
Okay.
So that's kind of the deal. If you look at custom culture, there's a thing in here, Dina, that needs to be updated. Mike, if you look at page 9 on the resource plan document, this stuff might be in the growth policy. And that's where this committee really doesn't have to provide those economic data, total personal income by major component. I mean, where's your income in the county? Full part-time employment by major industries, transfer payments by major components, farm income expenses, total population needs by categories, households by type. Because this document, the current resource plan was in 2010, those demographics have changed. And so that's stuff that the county or staff of the county can provide for the new for the new document. The primary planning guidelines is on 10, and this is what I'd like, and I'm gonna get right to your question on funding and stuff like that. So I'm glad you're here, just relax. Enjoy yourself. At the bottom of page 10, the Beaverhead County commits itself to seeing that all decisions on natural resources affecting the county will be guided by the following principles. Maintain the concept of multiple use on all lands in Beaverhead County. And we can use the Multiple Use Sustained Yield Act, we can use the Organic Act, we can use the Mining Act. There's a lot of different things out there that we can quote in the resource plan that asks for, the federal land management agencies to follow. The protection of private property rights, private property interests, including investment-backed expectations. And this has to do with grazing leases. It also has to do with water resources. We got a major fire up here that destroys a reservoir or conveyance facilities, and I don't think you're doing any chickpeas down here. Don't know if you're doing any potatoes. You're probably doing some alfalfa, which is water dependent. So you need that water, whether it's center pivot, wheel line, or flood irrigation. The protection of local historical custom and culture. And this is something that Park was talking about. It's something I mentioned earlier too. Think about that social well-being of the citizens and their ability to go out and enjoy the outdoors. Hunting, fishing, hiking, snowmobiling, four-wheeling, motorcycle, side-by-side. And like I mentioned, RVing is becoming huge. So maybe in the resource plan, we ask the Forest Service to develop some strategically located additional camping, either dispersed or improved, in order to try to grab some of those economic dollars that are coming through. And try to keep people, I served with Jeff Wellborn in the legislature, and he was telling me one session, I think it was in 15 or something, he said, the people coming through this Beaverhead County down in his area don't care about private property rights. They back their truck up to the fence, they back their four-wheeler off, and away they go. Well, that's what Jeff said. I know it's been recorded. But, trespassing is an issue. And if we can develop areas for people to recreate that don't adversely affect private property so that they have a place to live. My pet peeve in the Gallatin and in every forest across Montana, and when I was on the EQC, we had a study on wildlife. We saw, that's been about 10 years ago. I turned out in 21, but we did that study. We saw a 13% increase of big game moving from public land to private land. And the reason that is because of mismanagement of the public land. Dead dying timber, forest floor, so thick, a lot of the wildlife can't get through there. So if we want to protect wildlife and we want to get hunters out on the landscape to do hunting on public land, best thing to do is improve the habitat on the public lands. And if we can help do that with this resource plan, maybe we want to ask them to harvest 50% of the mortality rate or 50% of the new growth. And then again, you got a problem with your infrastructure. What are we down to? 5 mills, 4 mills statewide. Softwood lumber, very depressed price. A lot of dumping softwood, mining Stillwater over there. I think the Russians are dumping palladium on the market, just depressing the price. They can't afford to pay their employees. Stillwater County, huge income, lots of economic, just like Jefferson on mining. That's what we're trying to promote with this resource plan, because you only got 30% of the county that's privately owned, and you're trying to support the whole county on that, on services. So if we can get a diversity of services in the resource plan, the next one on there, there's only 6 of these. The protection of the traditional economic structures in the county that form the base of economic stability. And that's what I'm talking about, the diversity of economic drivers within the county. When we look at the demographics and what's growing, outdoor recreation is probably the #1 growing industry in the state of Montana right now. You can capture some of that. We've got Glacier Park, we got Yellowstone Park, we've got the state parks. People are going and visiting those. They're going through the neighborhood. They're buying fuel. We want them to stop for a couple of days. We want them to go buy a steak dinner, spend time in the lounge, shopping downtown, support the local shops. The opening of new economic opportunities through reliance on free markets. And this is what Mike mentioned about the solar farms. Keep in mind what position or what can the resource plan do to promote those new technologies? I don't think we're going to see a major reservoir or dam generating electricity on the Beaverhead or the Big Hole. But there are technologies out there that use our natural resource. And another pet peeve of mine is we take our natural resources and as a commodity and in agriculture, which I've grown up in, first 15 years of milking cows, got tired of that, but we always had milk to drink, that's for sure, raw milk, whether it was good for you or not, that's my problem, I guess, drink raw milk. But it has a shelf life. When your cattle are ready to go to market, they gotta go. When your wheat's ready to go to market, I mean, you can put it in the silos, but you can't hold it all that long, it's gotta go. We need to try to value add. And your timber industry and your mills and stuff, value add, they make a product. Hemp is a big thing that's growing in the state. We don't have a single hemp processing plant in the state. It all goes to North Dakota, at least last I heard, for them to process it and make a value add. Now, what the Hellies have done with ductwork up there, they took wool, which wasn't really worth anything, the genetics were, but they made a product out of it. And they really excelled in that. And that kept them in operation, and it also added to the tax base and helped the county. So think about that in the resource plan. When we develop this, if you have a commodity, and whether it's mining and you want to do a smelter, crusher, aggregate, making blocks, tiles, you know, whatever, to value add or whatever. If we put that in the resource plan, and we go to the Forest Service or BLM, they don't see just a value of timber. They see an economic value-added product that comes back to the county in an economic driver to the county. So what are byproducts, or what are value-added products that we can get from our resources? And then that will bolster our need for the federal agencies to manage their land in a way to increase the economic sustainability, basically, of the county. You can say, well, I've got some lodgepole, I've got some Doug fir out there we can harvest. But what if we made furniture out of it? Or whatever we make out of it. It adds to the value of the product that the Forest Service has. The protection of the rights to the enjoyment of the natural resources of the county by all citizens. And so everybody has a culture and history in this county. You know your favorite place to go, maybe to hunt, to fish, to ride. Point Vista, I know Park took me out on a couple of rides, showed me some incredible landscape out there. And so you have the people here that can enjoy that, but it belongs to the whole world, really. It belongs to the tourism that are coming through here to share that with them. How can we provide that to them and create economic opportunity? So I'm just mentioning these things because as we go through this, my plan is, and this goes to what Troy's saying, in the index that's in the front of the resource plan, there's some appendixes that are listed. But on that first page, when you get down to like page 5 through 43 on the table of contents, that's where you're looking at all the different aspects that are within the natural resource plan. Vegetation, forest and fire management, recreation, tourism, wildlife, wilderness designations, special designations, wild and scenic rivers, threatened and endangered species, public access, off-highway vehicles, energy and mineral resources, fisheries, migration, habitat improvement, transportation, all of those things. My plan is, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I want to create a document that is very useful. I have been involved over the years in so many studies that get put on the shelf when they're done. Oh, we completed this study. And the next year somebody come out and say, I think we ought to do another study on that. Well, we just did one. Yeah. I don't really care for that one. We do nothing. It just, you can study something. Yeah. I want to create a document that the county can hold up to our federal land management agencies and say, our plan is a good one. We're going to mitigate this fire risk. We're going to protect our grazing leases and support our agriculture. We're going to protect our water resources. We're going to cut some of these trees. We're going to create some outdoor recreation opportunities. We're going to try to grab some tourism dollars as they go through our county between Yellowstone National Park, Glacier Park, and all these state parks. We've got a major interstate out here that transverses the county. Keep that in mind as you look at this resource plan as what can we do along that interstate to try to grab some of those people off the interstate to give them provide some sort of opportunity. We got our state parks that are along there. We got Highway 41 going up to Twin and that also you got Wisdom over there connected to the Beaverhead, basically. I mean, you're in a prime location in southwest Montana here to really develop a lot of these resources. And so I want to go through this. The plan is the commissioners would like to have this done in June. Now they have to, in order to adopt this, it has to go through the public process. And then they will probably submit a notice of intent to adopt, put it out to the public, take public comment through the public process, and then they'll adopt this. And I would like to see them adopted by June. So I'd like to have our work done by May. And I'm looking at 2 meetings a month. And if we can set a specific date and time for those meetings so that you put them on your calendar and know what time they are. I have another meeting once a month that I'm committed to the first Wednesday of every month. I actually have 2 meetings, the first Wednesday of every month in Butte. But if Wednesday works for you folks, we could do the second and fourth Wednesday of every month, 4 o'clock in the commission room. I'm committed to doing this. I told Mike to do it on one meeting a month on a weekend. either a Saturday or Sunday. And the other would be a meeting, I don't wanna give up every weekend. My legs are so sore from snowmobile, I bought a new sled. I went out, I had too old for this technology, I swear, I wish I had it when I was 15. Oh, man. Got my first sled when I was in 1964. So I'm up there in age a little bit, but, man, this new sled is just,
Are Wednesdays, bad days, good days?
Yeah.
Does it make any difference?
it's a big difference.
No, you don't like it. Is there better day? I mean,
I'm fine with Wednesday.
What about like a Tuesday or Thursday?
Tuesday or Thursday is better for me, but
Tuesday, Thursday works for me.
yeah, we just picked Wednesday this middle of the week, so
Yeah.
we don't care. It's sort of what the group did. If there's some Wednesdays somebody can't make it, that'd be good to know.
Want to do the second and fourth Thursday? I really would like to stay away from Friday.
Yeah.
You know. And Mondays, that's always kind of a bad day. too, so.
Yeah.
When are your commission meetings?
Mondays.
Mondays? Okay. What are you doing on Thursdays then?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Come to resource use plans.
And what we'll do, Troy, because I know Kevin, you start earlier than we do over here. But we'll start at the end of February, but there's a vegetation, forage allocation and livestock grazing. That's in the resource plan. I would definitely like you to be involved when we get to that point. What I'm hoping we can do is all of these different things, soils, air quality, water resources, livestock grazing, vegetation, forest management, land exchanges, there's a list of about 20. What I'd like to do is when we leave here today, we'll have a set meeting. We'll take the first 4 on the list of topics in the resource plan. And we'll have a meeting and we'll go through and update that section. Okay? So you would be on 1, 2, 3, 4, soils, air quality, water resources, and forage allocation, livestock grazing. Those would be the 4 we're going to do at the next meeting. So if you could make the next meeting and be involved with those, that'd be awesome. Now, we do get down to the wild and scenic rivers, wilderness designations. That's going to be probably the end of February, maybe the first part of April when we get to those. Maybe you might have time to stop into that, but Dana will keep you apprised of what subjects, if you can get on, this is broadcasted, isn't it? I mean, you can pull up the link.
Yeah, but we can also do a Teams link where you can interact with the people that are joining virtually.
This is recorded and you can go someplace and get it, watch what we did today.
But yeah, you can go to
It's the
YouTube.
participation.
YouTube or whatever, yeah, technology.
Yeah, there'll be a link that you can actually watch the meeting. Anybody here can watch what went on at the meeting if you're not able to attend.
Might be easier for me to drive here.
So are we talking, calendars are behind you, so are we talking this next meeting, the 13th of February or the 23rd of January?
Today is.
15th, I mean, it's only a week away. but-
Yeah, let's see, 30th. That's the
Yeah.
5th Thursday.
Cause we could start the 30th, the 13th, 27th. Would that something like that work?
13th and 27th. So it'll be the.
13th, the 30th, 13th, and 27th are the next 3 meetings.
Yes, yes. 30th, 13th, 27th. Be the.
I'm gonna write something down.
Well, Dana,
Yeah.
we'll send out messages, right, sort of right when this meeting's over tomorrow, or a couple of days anyway, that we're gonna be, everybody read the growth policy in particular, they go through that part. Carrie, you said you're gonna do the first 4, so really study
Yes.
on that, make comments.
Yes.
That's what we'll be looking at, and then break it down that way, that might work out good.
First
Dana will send us
4,
out.
you got handed the growth policy, which is new, which has a lot of demographics in it. But look at those demographics in there and see if there's anything in that growth policy demographic wise that you would like included in the resource plan that's not in the growth policy to bolster up the resource plan. Some value that we can add to the economics out of the growth policy. And Dana will probably be updating a lot of the demographics that will be provided by the county into the resource plan. And then we'll go through these line by line. On the 30th, we're gonna do soils, air quality, water resources, forage and livestock raising. We're gonna do that.
And you're gonna do these in 2-hour meetings,
Yes.
4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, everybody like that? 3 to 5, noon to 2, I don't care, 4 to 6?
Yeah, 4 to 6.
4 to 6, second and fourth Thursday, starting the 31st. We got that done.
And then just because we're doing these 4 in the next meeting, as we move through the rest of these in the resource plan, it doesn't mean we can't go back and I thought of something I wanted added in soils or in grazing. We can go back and discuss and add that. What I'd like to do is when we accept these as a committee, legislature uses Mason rules of order. Most of your counties use Roberts rules of order. And really the only difference between the two is we're gonna do these first 4, and then I would like to see a motion to adopt the first 4, and Robert's rules requires a second. If you don't get a second, the motion dies. What we'll do is we'll motion to adopt what's in these first 4, a second, we'll vote on it. The vote will be recorded as to how it was voted on, so that when the county commission brings it to the public, this is what the vote was on each one of them, so that we'll have those. And the discussion is all gonna be recorded. So that'll all be archived, if anybody wants to come back. Trying to avoid litigation against the county.
Can't do it, yeah.
I know it did.
And we won't hold your stint as a state legislature against you. That's the only down part of you.
I got out before it started to erupt, okay?
All right. And do you want everybody to get a copy of this?
I think you should.
I'll try to get some of these ordered up, because this is county governments and you, the Forest Service, they got one for BLM, they're pretty much identical, the guidebook for working together. This is, we try to talk to them about, this is the rule book that we work with you. And this is sort of what I'm trying to get to, and why this is so important. And they talk about our plan, and we gotta have our plan, so appreciate you doing it. But I'll get some of these and we'll get started getting them handed out.
I will say that in Montana, we have a lot of wilderness study areas, national parks, Indian reservations, which are under control of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA. State has no jurisdiction over that. And some are privately in holdings and some are tribal council owned and stuff. So there's a lot of area, and we're not thinking about the private land. We want to support private land and the economics. But in this resource plan, we're just looking at public land out there, and we're looking at state land. There's not a lot of it out there, but mostly BLM and Forest Service. And I did ask the Forest Service when we were going to start on the travel plan, because I wanted access. And access is a big thing. It's a big thing to manage your livestock, to mineral resources, timber, all that stuff. So I said, how many wood permits did you guys give out 2022 and 2023? 21,900 cord. That's a lot of supplemental heat. Keep that in mind when we want access out there for wood, because energy costs and supplemental heat, there's a lot of people that use wood. So, I mean, all of those things factor into this resource plan, what resources are out there.
That factors into air quality too.
Yeah, forest fires do more than a Cadillac stove do.
Yes, absolutely. So, but
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It's not just economics. You cannot have sustainability if you're not looking at all the pillars. And so,
That's right.
yeah.
No, I totally agree. If we can build furniture out of it, it'd be way better than putting it in the air.
And you get more tax money if you put in more solar farms.
Is
Yeah.
that available online? Can we
This
find it?
is, somebody said, who has this online?
I think that,
I know it is, they are, but I'll get some hard copies.
I'm almost certain it is, because I think I downloaded it.
There's one for BLM and one for the Forest Service. They're both signed by the National Association and the Forest Suits. They're not very Vicki Christensen, she got kicked out of the office up there.
Yes, I think this is on NACO.
NACO's website, I know it,
Yeah.
National Association of Counties, and that's where we'll get a lot of demographics and stuff.
Yeah. And it spells it out on coordinate, and it also spells it out on cooperating agencies. You know, the county wanted me to, we've got a memorandum of understanding with the Forest Service on travel management, Beaverhead County, on the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest for Beaverhead County as a cooperating agency. But we really want to coordinate and make their plan as consistent as possible with the local plan. That's where the power of consistency. And if they can't be consistent, they got to explain to us why they can't. And that's what's important. And that's why this coordination between local governments and federal agencies is so important. And
I'd just like to add, I think our public land managers are always looking for input and ideas. They're not, they don't just do things willy-nilly because they're still public process, but if a resource specialist can get input from the public on what to do instead of just getting sued, they would rather get input on what to do and know they have support to move forward. I think. So that's where the value in this.
no, and you know, they have conflicting messages within their department, like I've got to follow this and I've got to follow this, and it's very hard for me to meld those two together and make something that's not litigated. And that's what, you know, risk of litigation, they get sued a lot, so. We're trying to get them to help the county, basically. So 4 o'clock on the 30th, are there any questions or comments that you'd like to make to Tom or Mike or myself? Or any comment?
There's one, sorry I'm talking too much, but you said we can go back, you know, after we're done with 4, we're not done with, you know, we can always go back if we think of something. And so the first few sections, you know, planning guidelines, objectives, position statements, that kind of thing, are those set? And I'm not saying we need to touch them. I'm just wondering if we go through this and we look back at the objectives, are we able to tweak those in this revision as well?
Yes.
If needed.
Yes. I think, when I was looking at those particular ones, I was not really, besides demographics, the introduction, the culture, how it was settled, the economy, the vision of the county, how many square miles it is, you know, some of these were pretty set. I didn't see that this committee needed to really focus on those things. Moreover, to focus on those like soils, like your purpose, those things, a lot of that stuff will be updated by Dana. Primary planning guidelines, we're gonna pretty much follow those, apply those to goal, ensure due process, objectives. If there's any changes to those, you can look through those and see if you have heartburn over any of those, or if there's additional ones you wanted to add.
Yeah, because the objectives, the way I look at it too, Sean, sort of, that's the big idea. I mean, that's sort of what we're doing. Then it cops into these position statements. And then as you read through this, on soils, the county's position is that. And then here, da, 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 da. That's what we're really looking to. If there's something on the big objective part of it, we might need to change the whole thing. I mean, that's the big thing. those little dots right down through there, what we make dang sure with. And they'll fit in there a few of this, alternative energy. That's what you want to call it. The county has cell tower ordinances, but we've never really worked it into, wind farm, if that's the possibility come through here. I talked to that one wind farm guy that was talking about it, and I said, just go back and look at the Misty power line that come through here. The visual aspect of Beaverhead County, I mean, I said, good luck. But those kind of things should be mentioned in here. That if somebody comes along with it, we have a statement policy in the thing, so.
Well, there's been talk with this new administration that's coming in, with the fires that we're seeing in California. There's gonna be, maybe some new policy or guidance coming out of Department of Ag and Department of Interior, on new focus that's out there. And if you look at California and their power grid, I mean, they're shutting down power because they got sued for power lines starting fires and stuff. We've seen a little bit of that elsewhere, where if the power company is going to be liable and they can't clear a forage back far enough or whatever. But there's been discussion on upgrading power lines. We all need power. We ran a new one up to Big Sky. We don't have enough power to, they needed a bigger line. Everybody needs more. And now we got a contract, I think, with Northwest Energy on some data centers. They got a contract on some energy that they're going to be pulling off our base load. That could cause some problems with some other people in the state of Montana on the ability to, provide power. And, we run on power, it's important. Yes, sir.
I know we talked about Thursday. I didn't know if anybody would object to changing that to Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, January, Tuesday, 15th, Tuesday, the 28th.
Makes it 28, 4/18, isn't it? Yeah. Would it?
It would be for me.
It's better for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it was up to everybody else, I don't know.
Okay, so let's go with
He said that Tuesdays.
Any objection on the 28th for the next meeting?
There is a fuels meeting, Sean, at 6. So we should be able to.
Well, if we hold carry to the thing, 4 to 6, I mean, that's like I said, you plan on 2 hours.
4 to 5:30.
4 to 5:30, because you got that.
I can get you out of here.
These travel permits, what do you call these, travel claims. You can probably put that on an email to them too, right, as an attachment?
Well, I think you have to sign it.
Sign it.
Yeah, I think it's.
You don't have to do one every trip, but if you guys want to keep track of these, like I said, if all due respect, we'll pay you this mileage,
Especially coming up from Lima.
70 cents a mile. If you want to do it, we got these. Turn them in every once in a while. To her, don't give them to me, you'll get lost on my desk. But if you want to do a couple meetings or keep them till the end, I don't care. But we'll get these passed out so you guys can get a little bit of that.
A lot of this discussion, or some of it, is on emergency prevention, fires or whatever else. Do we need to have a section about, someone dealing with emergencies, or do we need to look at that in an actual event type and have a voice on that somehow?
I've heard a lot of complaints from search and rescue on their inability to respond efficiently in a timely manner to some of these things because they don't have the access. So search and rescue and emergency response, firefighting, all of that has to do with access. That's very important. And it could be somebody's life.
Absolutely. There's a lot of snowmobiling for recreation that's on the Idaho side.
So for travel, do you do one way or?
Access through Montana is, say they're on.
I don't care.
What occurs to me when you go down north is,
You're gonna break that.
I don't think we want to go there, but like how they actually manage a burn as far as like, put the dozer on the ground and put two blade, like, do we have a voice there and stop it? Or is that appropriate? Is that part of what you're asking?
Yeah, a little pit. And the aftermath, I'm sure everybody can agree, just watch timber fall over after a burn is mismanagement.
Well, I worked fires, that's another one of my background. I worked fires for 8 years as a camp mechanic. I had the IC radio. And I was working on the Fridley fire in 2001 when the planes flew into the Twin Towers up there. We were on that Fridley fire. Hotshot crew almost got burned to death up there when that thing blew up. And it blew up to 60,000 feet is how it went through the third plume when it came up that, because it was just like a chimney. And that hotshot crew came in and he got a hold of the IC commander and just chewed him out. Said, you sent us in there. The IC commander said, yeah, but the weather guy said the winds were coming from the west at 30 miles an hour. And the guy said they were coming up canyon at 60 miles an hour. And I went up to this guy afterwards, the IC guy, and I said, where are you from? He said, well, I don't know. I've never fought fire out here. I'm from Minnesota. So I was saying, when you talk about dropping a dozer blade on a fire and putting something out, or you send somebody in like the man fire when those guys got burned up over Buck Elm over there and stuff like that. And that lady got killed in that plane or whatever, that helicopter or stuff like that, fighting these fires. It's a dangerous job. Tim Sheehy just went to Congress and he flies those red and yellow ones out there, and I see his planes flying around LA out there dipping water and stuff like that. But man, these fires get so big so quick. And when you sit for an IC management team, and you wait 4 days for them to get a camp set up before they fight a fire, man, we need some prevention. So we talk about fire breaks, fuel reduction, and that's why I brought this booklet on page 28 or whatever. It shows a picture of that urban wellland interface. There's a big push to get a categorical exclusion on fuel reduction projects in urban wellland interface areas. In other words, let's cut some trees, let's get some fire breaks in there, let's do some actual management in there. And if it's in an urban wellland interface, you can get an exclusion versus going clear through an environmental impact statement, an EIS, or a categorical exclusion, which is a CADX, or an environmental assessment, which is in between the EA. But you can go right to a categorical exclusion and do some of this stuff. So that might be something you want to put in the resource plan is, let's utilize CADX for some of these projects in the WUI to reduce some of these fuel loads and get some breaks out there for some protection on private property owners for transmission lines. I don't know what a fire would do to that solar panels. I don't know,
We're, as Alan mentioned, revising the county wildland fire protection plan right now.
Right now.
You're doing it now, right?
The
protection.
CWPP, yeah.
When's that gonna be done?
Hopefully real quick. I mean, they've been working with Madison County contractor, we're going with Madison County on a thing, but.
Good.
You helping with that?
I think I'll take part in some of it.
That can be an appendix. These different things that can be added as an appendix and then reference.
Yeah, there's a forest and fire management section in here, maybe we address some of those concerns there. As far as WUI goes in Beaverhead County, they're really, as far as mapped WUI, there's not much because we're not in the trees. So, unlike Madison County.
It's just for clarification, thinking of the electrical lines, are all the electrical lines on public land easements, or are they, transmission?
Those are federal easements if they're on Forest Service or BLM.
Okay.
And they have guidelines that the energy companies are able to clear vegetation within that.
Okay.
And then your power lines, based on how many KVs they are, that's how far they are off the ground and how far they can arc, so how wide that corridor is.
No, they touch everybody, power lines.
So that,
Private,
Yes.
state, feds, I mean, they got everybody.
You got co-ops, right? That are running power down here, right?
Vigilante
Yeah, that's
and,
true.
and Northwest.
Yeah.
Idaho, yeah, there's a bunch.
okay.
And that's something else to put in there too, is to, allow these power companies to trim that vegetation. It mitigates some of this risk.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to help them out, because you want them to stay in business, because they're the guys giving it power. Any other comments? Next meeting on the 28th of January, 4 o'clock right here.
And then when we go back to the Thursday schedule,
Yes.
The Thursday, no.
No, we're Tuesday.
I think we stick Tuesday all the way.
Tuesday all the way?
Okay.
It'd be a whole lot easier, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tuesday all the time.
Okay. Be the second and fourth Tuesday. Second and fourth Tuesday. We're gonna have this done in 3 months. Be done in March and have the appendixes put in. And then the county can take it to the public and they can adopt it at their June meeting.
Thank you.
That'll be perfect timing because the Forest Service will be going through travel planning.
Yeah, right. That was there for 12 years.
Thank you all for your commitment.
Yeah, you can get this.
I will not be here on this meeting. I'm out of the country.
Where you
all
going?
The Netherlands.
That's our.
Netherlands.
Netherlands?
My son.
This is.
So I'll be
resource
actually